Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspot, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan. And magic is in the air. Everyone can feel it. All the good memories of the FA Cup are flooding back. And we are here just to build up for an hour or so up to today's game against Nottingham Forest in the third round of the FA Cup. Of course, we are joined by the one and only The Godfather makes his return on these pre-match build-ups. We've also got Paul from Australia, and we've got Rob, the painter, who is over in France. We've got fans on from all over the world this morning. Philip, how are you keeping, my man?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I love FA Cup third round day, especially when we're playing at home. So, yeah, looking forward to a good result today. We need a good result to pep us up for the Arsenal match.
Yeah, it's needed today for sure. Paul, how are you keeping, my man?
Yeah, it's good. FA Cup day, and even in Sydney the weather's crap. It's always like that on the third round day, and it's this bleak period of the year where the league's a little bit of a slog. You have a little sprinkling of magic for a bit. It's a great day.
It's nice to take a break out from the league, all right. I thought it was summer over there, Paul, no?
It is, but it's just terrible at the moment.
Monsoon season. Rob, how are you keeping, my man?
I'm very good. I'm very excited for the game too. It's going to be a good chance to see the youngsters and get to see Papa Madrasar hopefully get a good game as well. And hopefully we can keep on this good form before the Arsenal game. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, we need to. You know, it's fixtures like this where we've struggled over the last while. So hopefully it doesn't become a struggle today. Let's welcome a few people in and then let's crack on with some discussions. We've got Faz Radfar. He says, big up, lads. Hope you are well. Let's get another win and be fully pumped up for the North London derby. Hope to see Spence start today. We are going to talk a bit about Spence. I mean, if he doesn't start today, well, we're going to have to send a guy out on loan. It's not fair to keep him around and hinder his career because he's being used as a pawn. We've got Mr. Daigle in the house. Big up, Mr. Daigle. Everybody, we had a falling out there the other day. Or we're not falling out, misunderstanding. But it's a bit. We've had a chat. It's smooth over. So big up, Mr. Daigle. Good to see you in the building. DJ Samuel says, "Good morning. It's the FA Cup. Let's end the '91 curse." I mean, man, we really do need to. Come on, DJ. Big up. Nick Collison says, "Blimey, this is early. Even I am awake." Big up, Nick. Good to see you. You know me. I'm busy on match days, man. Busy boy. Welsh Gal, good to see you. And she says, big up, let's keep the momentum going. Probably a bit early for some IPAs for today's game, but hopefully you enjoy it, Welsh Gal. We've also got Raz Adar in the house. Big up, David and Jack. Big up, my man. We've got Paul G in the building. More than all, got that FA Cup feeling. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Paul. Dark Son G's in the building. Come on, you Spurs. Let's get the win today and get in transfers before City. I mean, that would be absolutely ideal. Right now, Dark Stone G, we seem to be pissing about on 15 million over Pedro Porro. You know, now's not the time to be doing it. If you want the guy, go and pay the money, get him in here nice and early. In fact, would it be nice to have him in here for the Arsenal game, but doesn't look like that's going to happen. But Dark Stone G, I mean, 5 all Premier League ties this weekend, which means 5 Premier League teams are guaranteed to be knocked out nice and early. And also, one of Chelsea or City will be knocked out nice and early. 2 teams you can maybe think that would probably get to the final. So, Dark Son G, I'd ask you, is this year a better year than any to go for the FA Cup, considering 5 Premier League teams will be gone after this round? Big up, Dark Son G, my man. Good to see you. Vince Vegas says, I'm actually going to the game today and hoping for a standard 10-0 win. Come on, you Spurs. Hopefully, Martin can get the rest. Looking forward to see Sass Young and Skippy conquer Pompey. Well, Vince Vegas, you go and enjoy that game, my man. I wonder will they be bringing that bell down with them? If they are, will you shove it up their arse? Because it really annoys me. We've got Wembley 1 says, morning, guys. We should win clearly, but never ignore the dreaded lunchtime kickoff. You know we are never up for them regardless of the opposition. Yeah, we don't do well at early kickoffs. You're 100% right, Wembley 1. Paul Brown says, good morning, David panel. Big up, Paul Brown. Killian Goodwins, come on, you Spurs. Hi, David, you legend. No legend, my man, but big up. Really appreciate the sentiment. We've got Mark Ivy says, hopefully an easy win and then Boreham Wood in the next round. That would be nice. Matt Conley says, I feel the Spence will start purely for the shop window. Such a shame. Needed more of a chance. Couldn't agree more there, my man. And we've got Ethan Robertson says, hello, or hopefully a Portsmouth win. No, definitely not happening today. And then Russell I'm just going to call him Russell. I'm not even going to pronounce that second name. I don't want to butcher that great name. He says, big up, boys. It's a special day, and it's a start with you. Nice work, lads. Big up, my man. Come on, let's get after it. Then we've got Cara Simpson says, big up, gents. Hope you are well. But look, everybody, kickoff, of course, is at 12:30 today, is at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Referee is Thomas Brunel. And then in the VAR room, we've got Graham Scott. For anyone that wants to watch the game in the USA, it's on ESPN. In the UK, it's on BBC Red Button or BBC iPlayer. And in Canada, it is on Football TV. And the watch along will be starting at 12 today. Of course, missing Rodrigo Bentancur with his abductor injury, Richarlison with his hamstring injury, Lucas Moura, and Dejan Kulusevski as well with the muscle injury. But look, Philip, we're going to start with you. You know, Tottenham, we have FA Cups to an end. The last one coming in 1991. Yeah. Can Tottenham end our 22-year wait for an FA Cup and end our 15-year drought without silverware and win the FA Cup this season? How far can we take it?
We can go all the way. The omens, I'm a believer in omens when it comes to the FA Cup. And I think the last time we played Portsmouth in the FA Cup was in the 5th round in 1990-91, the year we won it. Right, so that's a start. Actually, that was a very difficult game. It was down at Fratton Park, and it was Gascoigne rescued us. We won 2-1, and that was a hell of a match. I think another omen as well is the manager that year that brought us to the FA Cup, Terry Venables, celebrated his 80th birthday yesterday. And he's not well either, so hope he's aware of what's going on anyway. So those two little omens, little things like that can add up. But I think this is, as you said earlier, David, 5 big teams are going to go out of the competition this weekend. Everton have already gone. Man City and Chelsea is a huge one because that's a potential winner gone out of the way as well. So listen, this is the year we need to win something, and I have a feeling we're gonna if we don't win it, by God, we're gonna go a semi-final at minimum. But I hope we do win this. I hope we win it. It would just be a great boost for the entire fan base, and it would give first trophy since 2008. How many years is that in the last count? 15 years. Too long.
Way too long. But Paul, I mean, is Philip living in fantasy land, or do we have a real chance this year?
Of course we got a chance, man. Of course we got. It's our cup. People forget it's our cup. Even though I was 19 last time we won it. Can you believe it? Look at the state of me. I was 19, going out on the town. The night we won the FA Cup, I had a brilliant night out. But we've got to. And like with so many top flight clubs getting knocked out in this round, it's up for grabs. It's just whether Spurs, the club, wants to win the FA Cup at maybe the expense of 4th in the league, something like that. That preys on my mind a little bit. So that aside, we've got every chance of doing well.
Yeah, look, I really do hope so. I was looking at the fixtures last night with 5 Premier League teams going. I really do think there's an opportunity here if we take it seriously. But Rob, do you think Tottenham will take the FA Cup seriously every round, or do you think it might have to give at some stage?
I think it's a matter of if we can win, like we have the squad, we have the ability, but I'm not too confident. But if we can find some momentum with these young players, and then I think it'll be a boost having Richarlison, Kulusevski and Bentancur back in the squad. That's some added momentum, and hopefully we'll be able to push towards it. But we just got to take it game by game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And hopefully the draw is kind to us as we go along as well. But Rob, Portsmouth are on a 9-game winless run in League One heading into this game, and they did sack their manager, Dan Crowley, before this game. Should we be worried about a new manager bounce and the Portsmouth players maybe feeling relieved that the manager's gone and going for it? Because, like I was saying before this stream, or I think when I started it, that we have actually struggled in some of these fixtures in years gone by. You look at Morecombe last year, barely got over the line, end on Bennett trudging off. Sometimes some of our players don't want to be out there in these sort of ties. But surely this one should be a walk in the park, right? It should be a walk in the park. But I think ourselves, we're on a little bit of a bounce ourselves, just coming off a 4-0 win against Crystal Palace. I think we've gotten rid of that bad juju, and this should be a game where we should win. Hopefully. Should be. I don't trust them sometimes. I really don't. I really don't trust us. But guys, I do want to get into a bit of a discussion, of course, on Jedi Spectacular. Absolutely everybody wants to see the kid today. Philip, is today finally the day we get to see Jed Spence start for Tottenham?
Well, yeah, if you believe the talk, like he wants to go out on loan because, I mean, he's only warming the bench for the last 6 months at Tottenham. So, yeah, I think if he doesn't play today, then there's something seriously wrong, either in his attitude or in his relationship with Conte. Because, I mean, the guy's hardly had a kick since he came down. Yeah, I do think it's an ideal opportunity today to give him a run against Portsmouth. He has to play.
For me, I think he definitely has to play. Matt, no, it's Scarlett that's on loan at Portsmouth, my man. Scarlett can't play today.
He's impressed him. Scarlett's impressed at Portsmouth,
yeah. And then Adrian Chase says we reached the FA Cup final and Levy will sack Conte. I mean, look, he sacked Jose Mourinho a few days, 6 days before a League Cup final, sent us in there with Ryan Mason. So, honestly, I wouldn't put anything past it, to be honest with you. But, Paul, we do have a surplus of right-backs at the moment, and we are looking to bring in Pedro Porro. So, what should we do with Jed Spence? Should he be loaned out, for the second half of the season to aid his development, considering he has only had, I think it's 12 minutes in total or something like that this season. Instead of keeping him around, being used as a pawn by Conte and leaving to gain control over one another, because he's not going to develop without playing time. So what do we do with the kid?
It is sad, isn't it? Because I quite fancied him as a player and was excited about the signing, and until it turns out, well, it wasn't a guy that Conte wanted. So, I mean, really get him out on loan or even sell him if we're not going to play him. If we don't play him today, that says it all, doesn't it? And that's what happens when, you get other people other than the manager just buying and selling players like their assets instead of how well they fit into a manager's design or plan or football team. It's shocking. I feel sorry for the guy.
We completely mishandled the guy, right? Since he's walked in, completely mishandled the whole situation. Haven't even given the guy, a fair chance or a crack at the whip to succeed at Tottenham.
True. Yeah. But I'm just wondering, again, the old argument goes on. It's obviously not a Conte signing. Because if Conte signed him, Conte would play him. So as you rightly say, it could be a bit of the power struggle going on here between Levy and Conte. And at the moment, poor old Jed Spence is the loser. He's sitting in the middle getting no game time. So, it's very hard on the lad. It must be very psychologically hard on him. And I suppose the only thing he's keeping him happy is this nice big pay packet every week.
100%. It's probably strange for him as well, just being caught in the middle, because I think he has exactly the right attributes for what our squad needs. He's got pace to cover the ground back and forth. He's good with his feet. He can deliver a ball too. And each of his appearances, he's done well enough, Yeah. But it's just, it's strange, like a player being used as a pawn at the moment. And I think in Conte's mind, if he thinks he plays Spence, that's him giving in to Levy. And we can just accept all of these squad signings from now on. Squad signings.
Like David, you and me were raving about Spence last season before we signed him. I remember we were saying this is a great guy to get into the club, and we were delighted when he came down. So it's been it's been strange, been frustrating for everybody.
It's been very frustrating, especially when you look at like Doherty, who, the last couple of weeks he's maybe starting to recapture a bit of form, but him and Emerson, none of them have wanted to really lay claim to that right wing back spot. So that's what I find more disappointing about it, because when you look at Jed Spence, he's got raw, he's got pace, he's strong, he can skin players. He's also works back defensively, can get in tackles, and he's capable defensively. He's had such a meteoric rise over last season, going from absolutely obscurity to being in the Championship Team of the Year, helping Middlesbrough. Notts Forest. But also, getting into the England under-21 team, he comes to Tottenham, you think, okay, it's time for the guy to kick on. Let's see what he's all about. And we've absolutely ruined his career, so far ruined it or stagnated it, and it goes back to what I keep saying. There is no pathway for any youngsters that walk in here, but it doesn't help that such a young guy is being used as a pawn. I really do hope that he's okay psychologically and doesn't get too fucked up from this, because that would grate on you as a player. You'd be pissed off knowing there's nothing you can really do to get into the manager's books, purely because, the chairman signed you. It's absolutely boggling. But look, if Jed Spence doesn't start today, we all expect Matt Doherty to come in today. And what I would ask Paul is, can Matt Doherty recapture that 6-game run he had last season between now and the end of the season and make that right wing back spot his own going forward?
Oh, look, I mean, he's definitely improving, but even when he had that 6-game run, is he really good enough still? You know, it was good. It was okay. You know, it wasn't bad or anything. But I think with this style of play, the wing backs they're your gun players, aren't they? They've got to cover more area. They've got to have a high degree of skill, and I don't think even Doherty at his best can, really let the system shine. We need someone else. We need another right wing back. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Are you a fan of this Pedro Porro, Paul? Would you be happy if we got him in?
Look, I haven't even Googled or looked at the guy. All I'm concerned about is whether Conte wants him or not. If Conte wants him, then stop dicking around over this 5 million. We know how much he costs. It's 40 million or whatever the price is. That's it. And they come in and say, because of the buyback and thing you've got with Man City or whatever, we'll give you this much, and you still. But no, just if he wants him, put the money down and buy him. But if Conte doesn't want him, we shouldn't even be having the discussion.
Yeah, I agree. But look, let's wait and see what happens. It'd be nice to get something done this week, but I wouldn't hold your breath. Philip, let's talk about this, the back line, the three across the back there. I mean, since our defence is really, really rocky. Now, I know we're off the back of a clean sheet against Palace, but, that ended a run of, I think, 10 games going behind, 7 games on the bounce, conceding, I think, 2 goals. It can't keep happening. So what do we do with this back line today? Do we allow someone like a Sanchez and a Davies and that to come in and play? Or would you stick with the same back line to build a bit more cohesiveness, a bit more confidence?
I'd stick with the same 3. I don't think any of us want to see Sanchez or Davis. I don't know how good this Portsmouth front line is, but let's face it, it's their biggest game for years. Those guys are going to be up for it, and our players will need to be ready for them. So I would stick. The 3 boys played very well against Palace, really, with maybe the odd little exception. So yeah, I'm taking a leaf out of Manchester United and Everton's teams last night. They more or less played their first strength team, which is a change in the FA Cup, because like most teams in recent years have played, half and half, really, half normal, half replacement. So I would stick. I would play. I know that it's great to see the kids getting the goal, but what happens if we play the kids and we lose? So that's why I think play the strongest team you have. We have another week, 8 days before the next match. It's not as if we've got a match in midweek that we have to prepare for. I would go strong today, make a statement, get a big win, and then argue about it afterwards.
Yeah, look, for me, I would actually rather put out that same back line again, just to build a bit of understanding between them, a bit more confidence. But, Rob, it probably will be Sanchez coming in. Probably will see Dyer coming in. Do we trust them? Because, I mean, they played against, Ennis Moore last season, were responsible, I think it was, for the Vitesse game as well. They played in some of these cup games down the year, and we struggle. We literally struggle to keep a clean sheet in them, but also get over the line. So do you trust these guys coming in here to do?
I haven't trusted Sanchez or Dyer for years now, simply because they have patches of form where they play great, especially under a new manager. They'll play out of their skin, and then out of nowhere, they'll just, there'll be mistake after mistake after mistake. And what we need today is just composure, complete composure. It's a smaller team, but exactly like what Phil said, they're going to be up for it. And that's the magic of the FA Cup, which is the fact that smaller teams think they have a fighting chance, a puncher's chance. So any mistakes need to be cut out of their game, and they need to play out their skins. But in terms of trust, I've got none. Like, if we should keep one of them, we should probably get rid of Sanchez himself. But we need recruitments, and we just need to make sure they have an assured performance today.
I 100% agree. But you know what today, Paul? I want to see whoever does get the opportunity. Some of these fringe players, I want to see them go for it today because I almost feel in these cup ties down the year they're sort of held back. They just want to sort of stroll over the line. But then you're sitting there thinking it's like, well, hang on, you've got a point to prove. You should be leaving it all out on the line, right? Am I wrong?
No, and like there's some areas where we're starting to get a bit of decent competition for places. Like in midfield, you got Højbjerg, Basuma, Bentancur, Matassar's coming good, Skip. So there's competition there, and if like a Harvey White wants to get in with the mix, he's got a chance,
Yeah, look, do you know what? We'll actually get into midfield, Paul, so we'll get in and have a good discussion on it. Basuma is available after returning from suspension. Sarr would be looking for a start after impressing with the minutes he's been given so far this season. And Ollie Skip has struggled to recapture his form since returning from injury. It's likely one will miss out, but in your opinion, who deserves to play today in that midfield, Paul?
I'd give it to Pape Matassar, and geez, I'd want to rest Højbjerg, but I don't know if Matassar and Basuma. Oh, bugger it! It's only Portsmouth. Basuma and Matassar. What do I know?
Do you think it'd be harsh on Ollie Skip not to get the minutes, considering he's a Tottenham boy, or does he just have to suck it up because he hasn't really took any opportunities this season?
I don't know. He just hasn't been looking good, man. Maybe he does need minutes, but even that yellow card he got against Palace, it was bad, man. That was just that looked to me like a player that was desperate, that wasn't quite there. So I don't know, man. Don't know about Ollie Skip. Look, I mean, we could put any old muppet on before half time, and I'd prefer to see maybe a stronger team until we were in control of the game, and then give youngsters a bit of a taste of it when we're already doing all right in the game and there's a bit less pressure, maybe.
Did you know what though? A Basuma or a Sarr or a Skip beside him should be more than enough against Portsmouth. But sticking with you, Paul, just quickly, I mean, we should see a big game from Basuma today, right? He's been largely disappointing since he's got here. He hasn't really been the player that many thought we were getting. Surely we can see Basuma boss the midfield today and show us what he's all about, show us why we signed him.
Yeah, like when he's playing in that too, and he tends to get pinned back. For me, I think, I mean, I might be wrong in this, but I think a lot of our problems still boil down to our defence. Midfielders haven't got the confidence; they've got less options. So when Basuma manages to get the ball, does he really want to? Passing back to Dyer is not an option, for a sensible player, because he's just going to, spoon it somewhere or try and play football.
Give away a
corner. He hasn't fired, and he hasn't been the player that we bought from Brighton yet. But I think there's all sorts of other things that could be going on there. Plus, you need a bit of time to bed into a team. So, I'm not lost hope on the guy at all yet.
No, look, I think for me, I'm definitely not writing him off. I think he will recapture his form for sure. But Philip, who do you want to see in this midfield today?
Yeah, I think I'll go with Basuma and Sarr. They haven't played together already, I don't think. So give them a chance. Basuma is obviously better in a 3. That's the way he played at Brighton. Like, I mean, I was at the Brighton match last season. We played for Brighton, and he destroyed us. He was man of the match by a country mile. And we all thought that's what we were getting when he came. And we probably still will get it. It's just as Paul said, it's taking time for him to bed in. But I've always had a big fan of Papa Sarr. Not that I've seen that much of him, but I like the gimp of him. I like his confidence bringing the ball out. His physique is good. He's got pace. So I think put the two of them in today and bring Skip on in the second half when we're comfortably ahead.
Hey, Philip, did you see Sarr in the World Cup match? I thought he had a pretty good tournament.
Yeah, he did. Well, when he came on, he did not disgrace his country at all. And the very fact that he was in the World Cup squad shows you how highly thought of he is, in Senegal. So, yeah, I think we've got to look at him this season. We've got Destiny Udogie coming in next season. So, you can see the patterns beginning to emerge here. give these guys time to bed in, and we should have a really, really good, strong African influence in the team next season.
100%.
But now today's what we're more worried about now. But give Sal 90 minutes today. See how he gets on.
I would love to give him 90 minutes. I really like what I see from him. I like the composure. I don't know about you guys, but for the first few minutes when he came on against Palace, he reminded me a bit of like a Michael Carrick, something I haven't seen in a long time, where midfield picks up the ball, moves it out to the left, moves with it, takes it, brings it back, moves it over to the right, keeps the ball moving. And I really like that from Papamata Sarr. And, even in some of the friendly games where he comes on, it's the close control. He knows how to beat a player. He can look after the ball. I really like the kid. And I saw that Stellini, by the way, coming in for huge praise from Stellini yesterday in the press conference, basically saying the guy can be whatever he wants to be. He's absolutely unbelievable. But Rob, are you of the same thought as us? You want to see Bissouma, Papamata Sarr, just get at them and go for it?
100%. Out here in France, I've got a lot of friends telling me that Sarr is a quality player. Like all of them watch League One, and they were like, "You've got a really good player on your hands." I think himself and Bissouma could be good paired together, simply because I personally think that Sarr has fit into Antonio Conte's system a hell of a lot faster than Bissouma has, and I think they could both learn from each other. Bissouma bringing that experience, and Papa Sarr saying, "Come on, you've got to take care of your responsibilities too." Technically on the ball, he's great. He played well in the last game, and I'd love to see him get a full run out this game.
Is there enough creativity in that midfield today, though, boys? If we do go with Bissouma and Sarr, and enough of breaking the lines with the passing.
That's one thing we are lacking in, really. Bentancur, if he was playing, he'd be the most creative of a lot of them. But that's one thing that midfield does struggle from, and that's probably why Harry Kane has to drop so deep now and again to become the number 10. But hopefully that's something that's identified in the transfer window and looked after. Just where it fits into Conte's pattern of play is another thing, but we'll worry about that when we get the player. No, we are a little bit light on the creativity. Perisic is probably the best of them.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Paul, Philip was saying that we need maybe a creative midfielder in here in January, or at least someone that can play inside the midfield that has a good eye for a pass. But it came out yesterday that Salernitana are interested in a loan move for Papamata Sarr, which could give Tottenham the freedom to go after midfielder this January. Some fans think Skippy needs a loan move to recapture his form, and I'm one of them. Would you let Papamata Sarr or Skippy go out on loan this January, regardless, even if we don't bring anybody in?
I'd let Skippy go, but there's no way I'd let Papamata Sarr go. No way. Way.
Well, I believe the decision will come down to him himself personally. So what would you do if you were Papamata Sarr?
Well, I'm a Tottenham fan, so I'm going to... But if I was him, okay. Yeah. Obviously, I'll probably... If I'm not going to get game time, what's the point? If there's no sign of it, like say if we did sign another midfielder, which I don't think we're going to sign anyone this January, but say if we did sign another midfielder this January, then that tells you're even maybe one more down the pecking order. So you probably want to be out there, unless he's got a couple of games. Who knows? Well, he's got tonight. That's all he can look at. Do well tonight and see what happens after that.
And Rob, what would you do if you were Papamata Sarr? Do you sit there, back your skills, maybe look at the midfield options? You got Højbjerg, Bentancur, Bissouma hasn't really captured his form from last season. Do you back yourself to stick around? And would you rather stick around, playing with these level of players every day, like a Kane and Son, and learning off them and stuff like that, rather than go out on loan to some Syria, I presume B team? I've never heard of the name before. It could be even Syria C. Who knows?
I think he could be in the same position. I haven't even heard of this team before. Yeah. And especially after the glowing review from Stellini in the interview yesterday, like his eyes lit up talking about Papamata Sarr, saying that it's like his potential is all about his desire and his willingness to put in the hours on the pitch. And yeah, I believe he should definitely stay around because he will get minutes if he keeps like this.
Salernitana are 14th in League A.
Jeez.
14.
Doing better than what I expected.
17.
Yeah,
I'd actually never heard of them until yesterday. Never heard of them.
Same.
What would you do if you're Papa Sarr? Stay
I
at
wouldn't
Tottenham
go there,
Hotspur
man.
and get game time until the end of the season in the best league in the world, or go and play for a team nobody's ever heard of in Italy. I know what my
Okay.
answer would be.
Yeah.
Cancel the
You'd
plane
stay at
ticket.
Spurs.
Stay at
I
Spurs.
would for sure. But guys, everybody does want to see the kids today be given a chance, right? So, which could mean Harvey White, who's not really a kid anymore, or Alfie Devine, they could be featured from the bench. Maybe Harvey White in the starting lineup. Any of these two you guys have high hopes for, or think has a future one day in the Spurs first team? And do you reckon either of them might see minutes today? Because it is somewhere we've gone wrong in the past where we haven't been able to get these sort of games over and done with early, which means none of these guys are really getting minutes off the bench because you're not really if you've got experienced players out there or so-called experienced players and they're not getting the job done, it's very hard to expect a kid to come off the bench and save the game. But I mean, which one of these do you think actually has a career at Tottenham between the two?
Hard to tell. Harvey White's been kicking around for a long time.
Yeah.
And he's never really he got a run out in those mid-season friendlies against Motherwell and whoever else we played. And he did okay. Because he was playing really as a false number 9. He was doing, we hadn't got a striker on the pitch, so they used him. So he's a good player, but I don't know whether, with buying new players in, every time you buy a new player in, it puts one of the existing ones down the list. Sorry, lads, I just have to take this call. Sorry.
Yeah. You're all good. Paul, Rob, Devine, White, I think he's what, 20 or 21, 22 now. I think he's definitely getting on a bit. I mean, do we see a future for Harvey White at Tottenham, Paul?
I don't think so. I don't think we've got anything coming out of our academy at the moment. I think it's a disgrace. You can't. It's fine bringing in young players from your academy, but they've got to be good enough as well. You can't just give them a pass because they've come through our own school. They've got to be good, and they're sadly not good enough. And that's maybe not their fault. Maybe there's something going on the youth side of Tottenham, because I haven't seen a star. When was the last one? Harry Kane? Have we had anyone since then that's set the place on fire? I don't think so.
No, you've had what, Tanganga come through, Skip.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting as well, because I think it's a matter of the manager we have now too. It's a lot harder to really break through into the first team, especially under Conte. If it was under Poch, it could be a different conversation. If it was under a Potter, could be a different conversation. But under Conte, that pathway is incredibly difficult.
I think it is probably more difficult under Conte, but I still don't think they're good enough under any manager.
Yeah.
Look, I think Harvey White, he's one that I've really liked coming through. He can play left back, play centre midfield. Now it looks like he can play in the sort of 9 or 10 role if you'd like. But I look at him. I don't think we've done justice with developing his career, because this is one that everybody had high hopes for a few years ago. But through the lack of game time and stuff like that, it hasn't really worked out for the kid. I hope he gets minutes today. I hope he takes them and he can maybe prove a lot of people wrong. It'd be nice. Alfie Devine, played against Marine under Jose, came on, scored. It'd be nice to see him get some minutes today. But we'll have to wait and see. It does depend on some of these, seasoned pros to get out there and get the job done early and know thinking about today. But we're going to move on to my favourite subject of late, and that's Brian Gilmessi. He did take his opportunity in that 4-0 win over Palace. Even the most staunch anti-Gilmessis or Gilevers can admit he's an insanely talented young player, and he always puts a shift in whenever he plays. Reports have come out after Stellini's press conference saying he will not be loaned out this January, with Stellini saying on Gilmessi, he's playing very well and we're so happy. He has a great improvement because he trains every day 110%. Philip or Rob, we'll go to you actually. Is this an indication he has worked his way into Conte's plans?
I think so. Especially the fact that he said that he doesn't want to put him out on loan. he obviously still needs to work on the physical aspect of his game. We say this week in, week out. But in terms of his ability to receive a ball, to make runs, to cause problems, I think just with more experience and more game time, he's just going to develop and develop even further. And it was crazy. Like at the start of the season, we were getting a bit of banter from people saying, "Who is this guy?" Like, you know, even between ourselves, Spurs fans, we're so divided.
I'm the anomaly.
But there really is a good player there, and we do need to nurture that 100%. In Spain, they absolutely love him. And I think if we can adapt to the physicality and the speed of the game in England, I think we got a great player on our hands.
I think so too. But look, Paul, Philip, you know, Rob talks about nurturing the guy. So he's probably going to stay around to the end of the season. But what do we do beyond that? You know, what should we do with him beyond the end of this season? Cut our ties and sell him and bring in someone for the here and now, or keep him and develop him, even if that means going out on loan. I mean, the two wise heads, the two grey heads in the group, tell us what we should do with him.
I'd keep him because, I mean, you know, okay, he's been fortunate in a way. Let's face it, if Kulichevsky hadn't got injured, the chances are he wouldn't have got the chance that he's got in the last couple of games and wouldn't have been able to show what he can do. So, like, one man's misfortune is another man's, you know, prize. I'd keep him, I think. Excuse me. David, you and me have been sort of raving about this guy. We were really rooting for him once since he signed because we know what a talent he's got. So I say if he plays well for the rest of the season, I think he'd be an excellent player to keep and nurture, bulk him up. Like I heard he put on 2 kilos over the winter month, which isn't a lot, but you know when you're only lightweight like he is, if he can put on a few more kilos and bulk up, I think he'll be excellent. But like, just think back way before your generation, George Best had a similar physique when he came on the game, and he didn't do too badly, did he?
True.
Luka Modric, same sort of physique. You know, so
it was the same with Bale.
You don't have to be a bruiser. You can be lightweight and use your extra pace to get by players. So I've a great hope for Brian Hill. I think he could be one of our really good players over the next few years.
And do you know what? For me, just on the weight thing, Philip, just quickly. I mean, everyone's talking about the guy putting on weight. Like, I don't think he needs to put on too much weight because you're going to take away from what he's good at, the agility, the movement, stuff like that. For me, I think it's just about him learning. You know, coming up against different sort of players, being kicked one week, out muscled the next week, and learning, you know, to use his low center of gravity, his first touch, you know, the things he's good at to be able to escape from it. I think that'll come over time if I'm being brutally honest. But Paul, what do you think we should do with this guy after the season? Because clearly he's going to stay around, but you know, what do we do then? Do we see how it goes between now and the end of the season to make our decision? Because many would argue that we need someone in for the here and now.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's just well, it's always nice to have players here for the here and now. But if we're going to have here and now, I'd rather get the back line sorted out than the front. And you know, we're lucky we've actually got him in at the moment because we've run out of players. So it'd be him or a wheelie bin at the moment. So compared to a wheelie bin, he's pretty good. And I like the tenacity of him. You know, when he gets knocked off the ball or whatever, he doesn't like doing Eric Dyer and go on my finger. He's straight back at them.
That's it.
And another player that, you know, every time you see this guy interviewed standing next to other former players, he's half their height, and that's Ozzy Ardiles. I mean, he was still quite strong, you know, but it was Ozzy's tenacious spirit that made him such a good player, apart from his skill. You know, he lost the ball and he hated losing the ball. He was straight back in there. And I had to laugh like in the Palace game where at one point not Messi. Do you got me going there?
Go on.
No.
Go for it.
Allow it. Where Hill actually pushed over a Palace player. So, you know, once he's got a bit of Wing Chun happening and feels the chi and uses his size as, you know, a positive evasive force and use it to trip other players over, he could be quite good. I don't know. Keep him around. Why not?
Yeah, look, for me, I think what we should do is take it between now and the end of the season because Good performance. Look, me personally, I thought he tried against Aston Villa. Maybe the end product just didn't come off for him. Very good performance against Palace, in my opinion. I love the fact, like you mentioned, Paul, that even when he doesn't have the ball, how affectionate he is to go after. I mean, against Villa, against Palace, a number of times I've seen him move from the fullback, cross and pressing the goalkeeper to force him to go along, which means we have a chance of course, turning the ball over, recycling it, and going at them again. I really like his effort off the ball as well, which is something we haven't seen from too many players down the years at this club, right? You know, especially over the last while. You know, players that don't want to do the press work, don't want to do the work to be able to go and get the ball back. So for me, I think that's a huge plus. But his role is going to change. He's not going to start the North London derby. Kulu will be back. So it's now up to him to take the minutes off the bench. I mean, it's different coming off the bench, Paul, right? You know, to try and get into the game and stuff like that. It's a different role. It's harder to do.
Yeah, but you know, there's been many a super sub I can remember over the years. It was, you know, especially back in the day when you only had 2 substitutions, you'd often have like a utility player, maybe more defensive, and an attacker. And we used to have, I remember players like Paul Walsh would come off the bench, and sometimes these players, when you started them, maybe weren't quite as effective, but they could turn a match when they came on in the second half.
Yeah, look, I hope Gil can get his head around not starting anymore and doing it from the bench. But look, let's wait and see. Guys, something I do want to talk on here, and then we'll get everybody in on this. But Tottenham are plagued by attacking injuries. Richarlison, Moura, Kulusevski. You know, should Conte go with Kane and Son, even though these are games that they should be rested in, or use some of the youngsters like a Donnelly, like a Lancashire, etc., who are realising their pathway to the first team is blocked at Tottenham. Jamie Donnelly's father tweeted out about it the other day saying, why would youngsters come to Tottenham when there is no pathway? They can't even get on a bench when we don't have any attacking options. So, and as we've seen this before with the likes of a Marcus Edwards and Madueke choosing to back their talents and go and play elsewhere. So, you know, Philip, what should we do with Kane and Son today? Do you start them or do you give some of these youngsters a chance and put the perception out there that there is a pathway?
Well, I know remember when we played Marine a couple of years ago, Andy Devine and a few of the young lads played. But then again, that was a non-league team. I mean, that was something we weren't going to lose that match. Like Scalini, I think yesterday said in the press conference that Kane and Son and Brian Hill are going to be the front 3 today, starting the match. He more or less said it. So like it's a case of, do the young lads get on the bench and get a chance to come on? Like we're 3 or 4-0 up, then it's a chance to bring them on. But that's the only way I can see it happening. And I do take Donnelly's father's point there. Like there does appear to be a bit of a blockage coming through from the academy at the moment. Like Conte does not seem to be that interested in bringing players through like that, which is frustrating because we're going to lose good talent if that's the way it continues. They're going to go on somewhere else, like Marcus Edwards did. So I think today, because we have so few options up front, proven options, I should say, I'd like to see this Lancashire fella get a go. I think he's going to be one that we can make something of, you know. So maybe he'll be on the bench. I'd like to see Andy Devine on the bench. And as I said, bring them on when we can afford to bring them on, you know, when we're comfortably ahead. But as for the start, I'm afraid it's going to be the same old, not the same old 3, but the same 3 that started against Palace.
But Paul, what do we do? Because these are games that, like a Kane and his Son, they should be rested, man. We talk about, giving these players a rest, but it's games like this is where you do it over the course of the season, not Premier League games. So, I mean, would you bite the bullet and go with some of these youngsters? Because we do have to show that there is a pathway. And after that, I do want to discuss with everybody, how we get this pathway open. But Paul, would you take the gamble today and give some of these youngsters a chance? Because you can't keep asking Kane and Son to be rolled out there every single game and then expect full 90 performances out of them every 2-3 days.
Look, I think while we've got the injury situation, the way it is, we've got 2 of our front line out. And, the time to rest Kane and Son will come a bit later on, I'm afraid. I wouldn't play any of these youngsters just because I don't think they're good enough, I'm all for, I'd love it to have more homegrown players. I mean, look at the likes of, Steve Perryman, Glenn Hoddle, Mickey Hazard, all these players that came through our youth system. And now it's not like you know, if we had Phil Foden, then it's a no-brainer because he's good. But when you're talking about these players that I've got, you know, some of the players you mentioned in here, David, I've not heard of, you know, so, you know, they're not setting my world on fire. Maybe it's just because I haven't seen them. And maybe, as you say, they do need a chance. But I've got a gut feeling that if they were that good, we would know about them. We wouldn't be having to wait for an FA Cup game.
Yeah, interesting.
And just, you know, and okay, we're only playing Portsmouth, right? But, you know, there's still going to be seasoned, haggard defenders that these guys have got to face. And Portsmouth, if their head's in it, you know, I mean, they're managerless. But if they could just be in a mood where they've got nothing to fucking lose. And that's dangerous opposition, you know. And you don't want youth and experience facing that at any level, you know. Form goes out the window sometimes in these games.
But you know what? I don't even know if I want Kane and Son out there facing it either, because they're going to kick them around, you know. They're going to try and, you know...
That's football, man.
For it.
That's football.
True. I just want to protect Harry at all costs. I want to put him in my my bubble with me. I suppose I can't do it.
A big inflatable sphere. So the ball bounces off this big balloon.
Now, Rob, Paul and Philip, you know, look, I agree with them. I think Kane and Son will start. We look to get it over nice and early and bring on the youngsters. But should we maybe start with the youngsters and bring Kane and Son off the bench if we need them? Because we do have to protect them. There's no London derby coming up, 2 games against Man City, and you just know one of these Portsmouth players were sitting there dreaming last night about kicking them, you know, about trying to get physical with them, try and put them off their game and make a name for themselves.
I'm split between two. I believe that Son should play a full game just to kind of get the bad juju off him, you know, just to find his form again, hopefully get a goal and come into the next game like hot and firing. But with Kane, Kane's been an absolute machine for this club. Like when people say the term, like he's been a good servant for the club, he's literally been a servant. He's been a slave for Tottenham Hotspur. If he comes on, if we need him, it should only be just for 10, 15 minutes, close off the game, or hopefully we're not in the position where we have to get back into it. But yeah, I believe that Son should play up top or out in the wing, but we should definitely bring in a youngster or two. But yeah, in terms of Kane, like what you said, we should wrap him up in some bubble wrap, keep him safe.
I'd rather see pictures of him shopping in Harrods today, if I'm being brutally honest.
Do you remember the game against Tranmere a few years ago? I think we were 6-0 up, and they brought Harry Kane on as a substitute. That's probably the most ridiculous one ever, you know.
It's awful. It's awful.
Honestly, I'd rather Kane be rested. But guys, you know, Rob brought up Sonny. We'll start with you, Rob, and we'll work our way back up to Philip. But you know, now that Son's got that goal, you could see the smile, you could see the relief on his face. Do you now think Son is going to kick on? Because I think, wasn't it against Leicester? He scored a couple of goals off the bench, but you know, failed to kick on. Do you think we're going to see Son kick on now between now and the end of the season?
I hope so. I hope so. I just released a podcast on the channel talking a bit about it too, which is I do think he's a victim of his own success. You know, like he did step out of the quote unquote shadow of Harry Kane last season, scored the most goals, won the Golden Boot. And that responsibility, you know, at Tottenham Hotspur, there's a lot of responsibility on our first team players, the starters, our star players. And I think that just crumbled him this season. And he's been trying really, really hard. But I think a few goals, a few assists, or even just a few good performances, he'll find his form again and he'll be back in his pomp. But I've literally just got my fingers crossed for today. A great performance and then go into the Arsenal game hot and firing, ready to go.
I think the problem with Son is I was at that Leicester match when he scored the hat-trick, which is, I mean, everyone just so elated to see him back, you know. But then a couple of weeks after that, he got the eye injury against Marseille. And I think he was talking this week about the mask, how it affects his vision. And one that got me thinking a bit, he's wearing a black mask, which is solid. Remember when Harry Kane had a mask on a few years ago? It was opaque, it was a clear one that he could actually see a better vision through. So I'm kind of wondering, why isn't Son wearing a clear mask that might give him better 360 vision? Because
it's the style.
He couldn't see the ball coming to him from certain angles, you know.
It's a style choice.
What?
It's a style. He wants to look like a
Oh, no,
superhero.
I put substance before style on that one now. But anyway, I think, yeah, you're right. The goal on you can see a little smile on his face on Wednesday night, which hasn't been there for a long time. And like, hopefully he can bang on. Like I said, they probably will all start today. But if you were to leave one of them out, Son would be the one that would have to start. You know. But then don't forget, Harry's only 2 goals off Jimmy Greaves' record at the minute, so he's greedy. He wants that record.
Well, Gaspers is all over it. I mean, we'll start with the 2 older gentlemen, because you'd have memories of Greavesy and stuff like that. Do you think Kane will break it over the? It could be done today if we get off to a good start and get a nice hat trick early on. But how good is it for you guys to see that record be broken? The fact that you have memories of Greaves, and then something that you probably say it takes a lifetime to break, and you're going to witness Harry Kane do it two in one lifetime.
Well, I know when Jimmy Greaves retired with that record, I said that'll never be beaten. Just won't be. The way football was going, more defensive and all this, that, and the other, and better pitches and whatever. I said no chance. To see Harry Kane do it is bittersweet for me. I mean, I've been Jimmy Greaves is my idol. He always has been. But I think to see a young player like Harry Kane come along, he's a model professional. Let's just say he's an awful lot cleaner living than Jimmy Greaves ever was. Poor Jimmy, like this pint and like this fag and all this sort of thing, So I'm delighted to see Harry Kane do it. And but I will say this time, now I don't think it will be beaten, not in our lifetimes.
Interesting.
Record,
Interesting. Paul, where are you at with the nostalgia and the memories?
Well, I was born in '72, so I don't remember him playing. I remember Greavesy more from the Saint and Greavesy TV show, which was a hoot. It was a brilliant program.
What was that about?
It was just like a Saturday morning wrap up of crap that was going on in football, and it was him and Ian St. John, and it was brilliant program. Simple days. Simple days. You didn't need computer graphics and stuff like that, But it would be amazing for Harry. I mean, just on Jimmy though, that every time, if it happened a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking to an old Greek bloke that over here that used to watch Tottenham in the '60s at White Hart Lane, and whenever I ask anyone like that, who's what player rings your bell, they always say Jimmy Greaves. Or it's Jimmy Greaves is number one for these guys. It's a shame that we can't see more of him because there's not much TV footage or films, but you've got to take it that he was the guy. And if Harry Kane, I mean, God, we owe Harry Kane so much, don't we, really, for sticking with us. And he's been mucked around, and he just seems to get better as a footballer every year. And I think it might be only after he retires we'll look back and think how good he is. Because I mean, some of the stuff I see him do at the moment, I think, Jesus, he's up there with Glenn Hoddle, this guy. When he's doing distribution and getting balls into the box, he's amazing. So it'd be sometimes football or sport just writes you a nice little story, and for him to get the record against Arsenal next week would be sweet, fantastic.
He loves the goal against Arsenal.
Yeah, to do it at home in front of those scum, it's got to be good, that one.
I think I'll cry, to be honest with you, once he does it.
Yeah.
He knows how much I love Harry Kane, #1 fan. I think I'd absolutely cry. Go on.
Could I just say something on Son there? You were talking about him. And something I think about Son is sometimes I think he seems to be a bit too hard on himself, or he's just a bit caught up in the moment. So he seems to be overcomplicating his runs. But when he loses the ball, like we were talking about Hill, instantly Hill's back on it. Whereas Son, his first instinct is to stand there and go like it's fuck it for a split second, and that allows him to not have a chance to get the ball. So when he does go for it, it looks half-assed to me, But I think it's that split second of castigating himself. He's just got to get rid of, because he's a great player.
100%. 100%. And look, for me, I've always gone by the motto with Kane and Son that form is temporary, class is permanent. And I've no doubt Son will get back to his best. Do you know, I actually agree with you, Paul. I definitely, there is something affecting him right now. He is, and it's like he's almost trying to override the pudding, right? He's trying to do a bit too much at times as well on the ball, rather than just do maybe some of the simpler things and play your way into form. Look, it's with Son over the last while, it's been about the bounce of the ball. You have periods where absolutely everything goes for you. You know, balls will just fall into your path, you stroke them in. Then you get periods where, look, even though the chances maybe present themselves, it's just not happening for you, or the bouncing ball is not happening for you, but he'll come good. 100% he'll come good. But Rob, you know, it's only fair to let you have your say on Harry Kane so far. Potentially, with a good game today, could break it today. We might not even have to wait till Arsenal.
He could break it, and he deserves everything. Like as I was saying, he's played week in, week out for this club. He's popped up with really important goals for us, and he deserves to break every single record coming to him. Just about Son,
Yeah, right.
what was I going to say? Yeah, it's interesting how he's adapted to Conte's system. You know, under Jose himself and Kane, that link up was amazing. But it was because of the way in which we played with, like, our forward line right on the backs of those defenders. You know, playing through balls, playing through the middle, and now it seems like he could be struggling a little bit with the absence of Kulusevski, who added that creativity. It seems like he has to change his game a bit. Now he's making runs from deep. He's dealing with like a four-man defense in front of him. People are doubling up on him. And I do think that he just might need to adapt and try find himself within this system again. Well, under a Poch system or a Jose system, I don't think we'd find this this dip of form to be lasting so long.
Interesting. But Philip, I mean, Rob talks about the partnership between Kane and Son, and he's right, but it doesn't seem to be there this season, because it was there under Conte last season.
Yeah, I mean, it's like these things happen in football. As you say, class is permanent, form is temporary. It will come back to them. I mean, the fact that when you've got a partnership that's running on 100%, both players have to be at it the whole time. If Kane is at it and Son isn't, it's not going to work. And it's just happened this season. Son's been off the boil for whatever reason. I don't know. It's as you say, I think he is too hard on himself. Certainly, his father's too hard on him. His father really gives him.
Oh yeah,
time, you know, especially over this mask issue. So yeah, I think it's just a case of Son coming back up to the level he was at last season, and then he'll be able to join up with Harry again, and the two of them will go off on their merry way, rampaging through defenses for the rest of the season with a bit of luck.
I hope so, because we need it. I want top four again this year, big time.
Yeah, we need this. So no, it'll come back. And actually, today is a good day to be playing Son, because I mean, against a team that won't be used to his pace and his movement, he could have a very good day today.
I think a couple of goals will do him a world of good, especially off the back of the Palace game as well. Everybody, I'd greatly appreciate if everyone could smash that like. I know it's the morning time. Some people probably eyes aren't even probably fully open. You can't see the like button, but if you can, I'd appreciate if you could smash that like button. It's a great help. If you're new, smash the subscribe button. We're going to run for about another 10 or so minutes. Feel free to get in a super chat with your thoughts or that, but keep getting your comments in the chat here. Lane Ambrose McAuliffe says, with Jones, we had a problem retaining the lead and closing out a game. With Conde, we struggled to take the lead. Absolutely spot on there. I couldn't have said it better myself. Carl Higgins says, if you look at many goals he's got in our many games, I don't think he went missing that much. I think he's probably replying to someone about Jimmy Greaves in the chat. Paul Brown says, nostalgia aside, Greaves did go missing the exit. So Carl Higgins having a debate over Greavesy. Derek says, Jimmy Greaves set piece in corners, second to none. Better than Harry Kane. Yeah. Philip, you're shaking your head, or you're not.
Yeah, Jimmy Greaves. I mean, the one thing Jimmy Greaves and Harry Kane are equidistant at is penalty taking. They're completely different. They were both equally successful with penalties. Well, barring the odd one Harry has missed. But Jimmy Greaves used to pass the ball into the net. He'd stroke it. He'd literally be like a back pass, whereas Harry goes for power. But Jimmy Greaves rarely missed penalties. And he was a good man on free kicks as well. What's some of his free kicks in the old newsreels that are out there? He was a great man to bury the ball in from 25 yards out. You know, so he got goals from all over the pitch. And for a small fella, he was good in the air as well. So, you know, he really had everything. And he was so quick. He was so hard to mark. He had more pace than Harry Kane. That's probably where the biggest difference was, you know. But it was one of the saddest days of my life when he left to signing for a club like West Ham. I mean, my God, talk about rundown, you know. That was actually the start of his alcoholism problems by leaving Spurs. He didn't want to go.
It's like Harry Kane leaving and going to Arsenal. I mean, I don't even want to think about that.
Well, he only lasted one season, then he kind of retired. He would often did a rally from the time of the 1970 World Cup. He got into rally driving and he drove a car from, I think, Dakar in West Africa over to Mexico as part of the World Cup preparations, you know. So that more, he'd given up on football at that stage.
Yeah. But there you are, some brilliant insight there from Philip on Jimmy Greaves, the Spurs fan and Smash the Like legend. Really appreciate that, brother. Derek Smith says, to be fair, Son scored the majority of his goals that came in the second half of last season. That is a fair point to make. But guys, I want to talk about something here, and it's a bit like a fight phone. Sorry for not bringing it up, but I've wanted to keep this comment so we can have a quick bit of a discussion on it. It says, Dave, keep in mind before we did not have players who can lead these youngsters, the likes of Winks, Ndombele, etc. Now we have the foundation. We can give young players a chance. Now look, I agree. Hopefully now we are starting to build some foundation. Look, we still need more bodies in here, straight away that can walk straight into the team and help us out. But hopefully we are starting to build a bit of a foundation. But over the years, we can't hide away from it. We haven't been able to get youngsters through. We haven't been able to expose them to Spurs fans so that Spurs fans can have an opinion on them. Who do we put that down to? Do we put that down to the management over the last few years? Do we put that down to the players that we've put out with them, like Foggy Foam here says, no leaders? Or do you simply put that down to the owners, with allowing the squad to get to the state where you're putting out guys that aren't leaders, and which means you can't bring through the youngsters? And look, we'll start with you on this, Paul, and we'll get everybody in on this because I'll be curious to see what you guys make of it. And not only that, Paul, but how do we go about it in future where we can show these guys there is a pathway? How do we create that pathway again?
See, I don't know the answer to this. I mean, so I'd be guessing that. I mean, the direction does come from the top, doesn't it? So it might be, which I suspect, if they're not really interested in football, they're just interested in making money. So long as you're producing players out of your academy that you can sell, put out on loan to championship sides or continental teams, lower divisions, then you're making money, aren't you? I mean, I don't know. I think if they were serious about getting the youth academy running, maybe involving more ex-players, get some inspiration into these kids. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but it's clear. It's not just that a problem we've had now. We've had this problem for like I said, like Harry Kane. What else?
Well, I mean, when I was growing up, I remember watching Europa League games where you would see Kane and I remember seeing the likes of Conor Ogleff, who I think is actually playing today for Portsmouth, people like that getting games in them games, and we smashing them. We're winning them games, but over the years we can't get it done.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just said it all. He plays for Portsmouth now, so
true.
Well, Kane's playing for Tottenham. So where's our Phil Foden, or where's our Mickey Hazard? Where's our Graham Souness?
Do you put down to quality then, Paul, of the academy players rather than anything else?
I don't know how it works, man. I don't know how they recruit.
Just on your opinion. Just on your opinion.
I don't know. I don't know if we're recruiting young players with enough ability, or whether we've got the right coaches in to make them good footballers. It could be. I don't know. It could be both. I mean, it's got to be both. We've got no one coming out of it. Don't know. And like I say, that comes from the top, or it comes from the culture of the club. Are we not a club that wants homegrown players? Because we've had probably more success at other times in our history with homegrown players. And I know times have changed, but it's not so long ago that a Man United team put out a bunch of kids and they set the world on fire. Why aren't we doing that? And you think it would make sense, because if you could do it, you'd make a fortune out of nothing, But it's kind of this, Levy and Enoch, it's always just enough. So We'll get players out of the academy that are just enough to sell to other teams, just enough. We'll back Conte, but it's just enough.
100%, 100%. I couldn't agree more with you, my man. And John Fitzpatrick, I'm going to get to your first comment on Gill. Actually, I get it to it now. Look, with Gill, my man, he had a good game the other day. There's still a long way to go with his development. I'm not naive to know that. Look, you know me, I was just celebrating being in the Gill bubble. I'm still in it today. Hopefully he puts in another good performance. But look, hopefully it pans out well for the guy, John. I know me and you have had back and forth on him over a while, but look, I'm not going to sit here and gloat or anything like that. At the end of the day, I'm not naive to know there's still a long way to go for the kid. But John or Paul, John also wants to know whereabouts in Sydney are you?
Gladesville. There you go.
I have no clue where that is, John, but you might. Philip, do you think that having no reserve team football anymore could be a reason why we're not getting these youngsters through? Because it's a big step from the under 23s, I think they call it, or is it back down to under 21s? Big jump. They're not really playing with any sort of men, you know.
Yeah. There's no real. They're playing matches, okay. But I'm just looking at the league here. Our under 21 team this is in Premier League 2. We have a very strong team there. We're so strong. We're bottom, 14th in the league with only 6 points from 13 games.
Jesus.
Now that is pathetic, and that is so. I've been watching the academy results over the last couple of years, and the standards are definitely slipping. I know the under 18s I think are doing okay, but the under 21s, my God, I mean, 6 points, and to make it even worse, Arsenal are top of the league with 23 points. So I haven't played 2 games less than us. So there's something wrong with the development squad. Now, I don't think Conte is that interested in bringing players through, to be honest. I don't think he's a manager that wants to develop young lads. I'll use Alfie Devine as an example. Alfie Devine came into Spurs must be nearly 3 years ago now, as the Great White Hope. What's he done since? Scored a goal in the FA Cup 2 years ago and hasn't been heard of. I'm hoping he's on the bench today. But it's the likes of him that was supposed to be. What's happened? That they stalled in their development.
Well, Philip, some would say you need chances, though. You know, he hasn't had the chances.
Yeah, but surely if he's progressing in his development, he'll be pushing for a place on the bench even now and again. That doesn't seem to be happening. I mean, that's what worries me a little bit. We seem to have stalled on the development front completely. And if that's the case, then that's okay when you can buy in players to replace the ones that are leaving. But you need to have some good lads coming up through the system that are not going to cost big bucks. Okay, I know who's the last academy player that really came through? Is it Harry Winks? Is it? You know what I'm saying?
You should not be holding the torch for academy players.
No, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
the quality's not coming through there. And okay, maybe this Will Lancashire fella is something that might do something in the past. But no, I just think Spurs always had a reputation as being a buying club back in the 60s and 70s. Are we heading back that way again? We're not developing homegrown talent. We're going to have to rely on bringing in players. It's a bit worrying because if you've got Levy in charge, he won't want to pay the money for these players coming in. So you've got a kind of a catch-22 situation there. And to see how one of our teams bottom of the league is an embarrassment, to be honest.
And before we come back to Rob, because I have a couple of things to throw at you there, Rob. Paul, you were shaking your head when I said about reserve football. Do you think that could have a part to play in it?
Oh no, that was just. I was thinking this the other day, man. Reserve football was exciting. Back following the football combination results was great because the teams, you'd look at the lineups and you would see a mix of maybe sometimes you get older players that were still verging on first team appearances mixed with youth. So reserve team football was a great place for that. But I mean that's gone all over the country now. So I think it's just been replaced by under 23s and loaning players out. So we've become feeder teams to other places. I mean it'd be nice to see something like that back, but don't know. I was just shaking my head when Phil. I didn't know we were bottom of the league, man. I mean,
it's shocking.
That is outrageous. Well, that says it all, doesn't it? Really, that's it. There's your answer.
I remember when, remember me, you, Philip, remember we were speaking to Mickey Hazard about this, and he was saying how influential reserve football was for him to get into the first team, because he was playing with Tottenham players that were coming back from injury that were in the first team, but he was playing against men, you know, he learned how to handle himself and this, that, and the other. So it'd be very, very interesting to see, you know, if it is the case that you don't have that reserve football. But Rob, a lot of people make a good few points here in the chat. Jude, big up, Jude. Good to see you in the building. He says, ironically, would have a first team squad provide more opportunities for the kids, be able to rest more first teamers. I mean, I definitely agree with that, Jude, but it's this one I want to throw to Rob. He says, our recruitment is poor. Chelsea go out their way to find and recruit the best kids in London, in UK, and Europe. There's another comment here. Where is it? Where someone was basically saying, like, you know, what was the point of putting all the money into the academy if we're not getting anything back out of it? So, Rob, how do we create this pathway going forward? Because this can't continue. Because something we had done well in the past is bringing in the likes of a Danny Rose, a Kyle Walker, and Aaron Lennon, identifying them from other clubs young, getting them in here, developing them, and giving them a way into the first team. How do we get back to something like that? Basically producing players that we can, because by producing them we can give the likes of Kane, Son, people like that rest today.
Exactly. I personally think it's obviously not an issue with investment in the facilities. It's the same situation that Poch had with the first team. You've got this really nice house, but not much good furniture to put into it. So it's either one of two issues, or maybe both, which is the recruitment, like just like the youth scouting, or it's the development aspect of things. Maybe we're not having the right coaches. We're buying players with the wrong mentality. But to be last in that division is awful, and it does kind of go back to the ownership, because if they're putting this little effort into the first team, then how little effort are they going to put into the youth structure? That's a huge issue, you know. And if they start to neglect us even more, we're going to drop down the table, just like that too. So I do think under Conte, it'll be very difficult to bring in youngsters unless they're exceptionally talented who have first team experience, either abroad like Gill and Sarr, but homegrown, it'll need to be under some sort of project, I think, down the line. Hopefully before that, we get the immediate success that we've been promised, bringing in Conte, and before, unfortunately, Jose Mourinho. But until we find a project manager, someone who's willing to really take a look at those players and say, no, we need to build the youth as well, I don't think anything's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, look, I hope it does. I hope it does, because, you know, even if we can start producing some decent caliber of youngsters coming in, even if they don't make the first team, it does mean we can bring a bit of revenue into the club by selling them on and stuff like that as well. Godfrey Drummond says, mix the coaches in our system. Too many British coaches there. Get some of the best foreign youth coaches in our setup, like a lot of the best teams in the world do. They are leading the way. Look, yeah, I'm definitely up for that, you know. And it could be a coaching problem as well. It genuinely could be a coaching problem. Derek Smith says it is down to the structure, which is down to the owners. However, the whole structure has been changed for youth development. Hopefully now they finally have got it correct. Well, we hope so, my man. Hasper, good to see you in the building, brother. He says, is Pedro Porro Conte's first choice? I'm torn on it. I would like to think he definitely wants him in over Doherty and an Emerson for sure. First choice, yeah, I can see it. I can see the potential there. Technically gifted. Look, let's wait and see, my man. I'm not even going to sit here and say it's going to happen. Let's wait and see, because the fact that we're pissing around on the release clause is just open it up for other teams to come in and swoop them from underneath our nose. I've seen it time and time again, my man. And then Brian McGuire, he says, we had a youth development coach, McDermott. He went to the Saints. That is a very fair point, my man. Yeah, John McDermott, wasn't it? John McDermott was his name. But look, guys, we are going to end off there because I have to head over to We're Tottenham TV now. I'll be back here for the watch long at 12 o'clock. Hopefully we can all sit here and have a good day today, a nice, easy day, get the result done nice and early so we can sit back, relax. The magic is in the air, the FA Cup. Hopefully we'll see everybody back here at 12. But guys, Philip, what's your score prediction? Any final message to the Spurs fans out there?
Yeah, I'm going to go for 3-0. And it won't be an easy match now. Portsmouth will be up for this. Is their biggest game in years. It's going to bring in 10,000 fans with them. So the atmosphere should be very good. And it's up to our fans to match their noise. They'll make lots of it. But I'm expecting a comfortable win and hopefully a good draw in the next round. And this is our year, lads.
I hope so. I really hope so. Scotty Hynam says it's the same crap all the time. Levy out, Enoch out. Big up, Scotty. Good to see you in the building, my man. I hope you are keeping well. Paul, score prediction and any final message to the Spurs fans?
I think we're going to fuck these Portsmouth fuckers back off to Calais. They left the swim back from France. We're going to boot them out so hard. 5-0. 5-0.
I love it. Come on, absolutely love that.
Come on, you Spurs.
It's hard to follow that, Rob, but
it's so hard. It's so hard to follow that. Oh my God. I'm going to agree with Phil on this one. I'm going to say 3-0. No, sorry, 3-1. I think if Eric Dyer's playing, he's going to have one clanger, but he'll be solid for the rest of the game. 3-1, my result.
Love it. Absolutely love it. John says, is the game on TV? Football and I know you're in Australia. It's usually on.
In Australia, it's on Paramount Plus. I've just signed up. They do the usual 1 week free subscription, so I'm using that tonight.
There you are, John Boy, Paramount Plus, my man. People really enjoyed the stream today. Big yourselves up. Look, I know it was an early one, so I want to say a massive thank you to Mr. Brady for getting out of bed. To Paul, well, he's staying up late today. It's different. He's not getting out of bed. Rob for getting out of bed as well. I want to say a massive thank you to all you guys for tuning in as well. 176 at 9-10 o'clock in the morning. I mean, big yourselves up. Really appreciate the support. But look, guys, we're going to leave it there. See you back here in 1 hour's time for the watch along. Magic of the FA Cup. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Let's turn them into pompous. Come on, you Spurs.
See you guys.
Bye.